Good morning and welcome back. Well, we're seeing more and more gluten-free options popping up on store shelves and in restaurants. So what exactly does that mean, and is it beneficial to your health? Here to help us sort this all out is Gunderson Health System registered dietitian Marisa Pruitt. Marisa, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. And this is something we've seen. I recall a sketch on Jimmy Kimmel where he went around to people asking them if they're gluten-free, and they all said they were, and then couldn't answer what gluten exactly was. So what is it?
Sure. So gluten is a protein found in our grain foods. It is what gives bread the elasticity or that feel that we love, that gooiness. It's interesting though, because a lot of people are choosing to go gluten-free, and there really is no scientific evidence to show that if you go gluten-free, you're going to be any healthier. The exception, of course, would be for those with celiac disease, which gluten actually causes the body to attack its small bowel. That's a completely different story.
So celiac is when it is absolutely necessary to cut gluten from the diet. Are there any, I mean, people say it helps them, not have stomach aches. This is all just anecdotal though. There's, as you said, no scientific proof backing any of this up.
Right. If you believe that you might have celiac disease, then the first step would be to have a blood test at your doctor's office. If the blood test comes back positive, we can do a small bowel biopsy, which gives us a pretty clear indication if you have celiac disease or not. The whole idea of having gluten sensitivity or an intolerance to gluten, again, all anecdotal. It's kind of, is it in our head or is it for real?
Yeah. Now, is there any, it's important to eat a well-balanced diet. Is there any negative health effect to cutting gluten from a diet?
One of the biggest negatives is it could potentially increase your risk for some vitamin and mineral deficiencies. Our grains are fortified with B vitamins, folate, and iron, which we typically as Americans don't get enough of in our diet. And some of the gluten-free options just don't have the same fortification. So that's one risk. Otherwise, any diet that cuts out a lot of processed foods, cuts out a lot of refined grains and sugar is going to be healthy and beneficial for you, regardless of the gluten-free title.
So there are definitely pros and cons to weigh when you're looking at gluten-free options. And again, I think you mentioned it, the most important thing to do if you think you have a problem with gluten is to get tested, correct?
Correct. And the biggest piece of advice is do not cut gluten out of your diet before you have those tests, because otherwise they won't be accurate.
All right, Marisa, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
And we'll head to break with a look at what's coming up on Good Morning America.